couldn't eat any meat. Check Grandma Mama.
If he didn't eat any meat, he would die.
Exactly. So which one of these?
He didn't eat any meat. Not ate any meat. Any meat.
If he didn't eat any meat. Say it again.
If he didn't eat any meat, he would die.
So which one of these animals?
This is my 5th year teaching, and I have taught 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and 4th grade.
They'll never get this. No way.
Yes, he can.
No way.
Oh, I don't think they can do it.
Yeah.
And what does the SH tell us to do? All right.
Oh, wait.
Oh, all right.
They'll never get this one.
Ooh,
Never ever.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready to try it?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Arm out. Let's sound it out.
I think also from the very beginning, you receive this training. So for me, I was in the fellowship program where it was about 8 weeks of pretty intense training where you were consistently getting feedback from other teachers, from your principals that you were working with, and also from our direct manager at the time, Michelle Besby. And so she really prepared us for when we came into the school setting, knowing that feedback isn't something that you get once in a while. It's something that you're consistently getting, not only through email, not only face-to-face, but there's so many different types of feedback, and it's just to better you or your scholars.
I think that you put yourself in a box by only doing the words at the beginning and not really in the moment. If you see they're getting it, just keep on adding on because they already know how to blend words. So
What would happen if it had no canines? Track Lucina in the back.
If it didn't have no canines, it wouldn't be able to eat meat.
And any.
any canines.
If it didn't have any canines, what would happen? Where can you look to figure it out?
I don't know if Marco. I don't remember if they were up.
Help him out. What's his evidence? I need scientific evidence. Prove it to me.
No, let him prove it.
Prove it, Prince.
Prove it, Prince.
What can you look at to find out what the animal will eat?
On the smartboard.
At its what?
At its teeth.
Good. So what kind of teeth tells you that it only eats plants?
Make Prince do it.
Is that it's flat.
Which teeth are flat? Keep going. What kind of teeth are flat?
Insiders are flat.
2 claps and a Prince. He didn't stop until he got that evidence. Can you tell me in a full sentence, Prince, which one eats plants and how do you know?
A zebra eats plants because the insiders are fat.
Beautiful. What do you think?
This is my 8th year teaching. I've always taught of success. I started as a first grade AT and I've taught first grade Gen Ed and ICT. Based on what Christopher and a little bit said, Sanaya, do you want to revise your thinking or does it match what we originally thought based on the genre of this text? At the beginning, you said you knew I like repeating. You were listening. What do you think?
So there were some subtle things that happened in your classroom. One was at one point you starting to repeat the question, and we saw you shake your head, which made me think that might have been an action step that you've been working on in the past. Is that true?
Miss Loving doesn't like repeat feedback. It's repeat feedback.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
if, as a teacher, if you repeat the question, you show your scholars you're not expecting them
Right.
to listen the first time.
But you caught it. And did you prompt her with the shaking of the head, or did you guys simultaneously notice it?
No, she didn't notice it.
Okay.
I think it's my teaching
But I mean that's such a great strategy for everybody. Just when you can actually just do that, and the teacher, it triggers that memory. And then there's a second thing. Did you know that story because you actually said, you know, he's already? Did we read that part? So you know the curriculum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Miss Loving's built a really strong culture where we know her home base is she always puts kids first. So we keep that in mind, that it is hard at first. I've cried many times when I've received individual feedback. Okay, I'll do better. But now I guess it's our Success Academy lifestyle, and we also have accountability partners where we understand for us to become better teachers for the kids. Miss Loving can't be everywhere at once, so we hold each other accountable, and we can only do that if we know what we need to work on.
My feedback is I would not have called on Christopher, right? Because you know Christopher is going to give you the right answer. And what I think that you were doing, and I could be wrong, is that you wanted to hurry up and get that out, what actually happened out, so that you could talk about how the idea changed. But
you stretch the string tight between your two hands, but you start by keeping it very short, only about 3 inches.
I want you in your mind to start thinking about what is actually happening. What is the mouse actually doing?
The mouse is therefore only 3 inches away from the cake. He can see it and he can smell it. I let him have a quick nibble of the cake just to whet his appetite.
Okay, hold stop there. Who can do that? Who can show us what's happening? Who can see what's like a little mouse? Come on. No, I said show.
Get up. Jake, do it.
Where's the cake? What kind is it?
Strawberry.
I
ain't gonna walk down this.
Make sure that you're giving them opportunities to actually use their bodies. It is. Of course, they are seasoned and used to it, but people do quit. Right? People will quit because this is not. They don't want to be told what to do better, and that's okay because we believe in school choice for adults too. But it can be hard, and we've had people after you know what is going to be the first week that you work here, and we've had people quit in the first week, and that's okay as long as the kids are not here. Just don't quit on the kids.
If you had to go into a school where that wasn't the norm, as a principal, as a teacher, or if you all want to go become school leaders, do you have an idea of how the steps you would take to move in this direction? I don't know if you could just flip the switch and start doing this exact thing day one. What would you do to get the culture of we're on the same team, I'm here to help you, let's get honest with each other?
I think that the first thing is just to be transparent about what is getting ready to happen. Like Core A did not work for me until I moved here, and so that was a culture switch, right? When I came, and it was. And I think I was very upfront. I am utterly consistent. So I said from the first day of summer tea school, I say we are a community that believes in being direct and giving each other feedback and holding each other accountable for our kids.
Our summer training for a few weeks before the kids come, and we had many meetings as a school about how to receive feedback, how to implement feedback, how would you give people feedback. We practice giving feedback with like mock scenarios, and all of those things do. I mean, I agree you can just flip the switch, but it would be a start where at least we come into the school year with the mindset of we're going to get it and we're going to give it, and it's just to benefit the kids. And I think those training times are the most helpful times because it's easier when there's kids and you're stressed to get caught up in your feelings about it. But when you lay the groundwork in the summertime before we can start, you come into it knowing what's going to happen.
They also look out for each other. They will give each other. They're like, you don't want Miss Loving to tell you this. Let me tell you this. Right?
For a new principal, I think a key to this being successful is that when you walk into the room, you know what feedback to give. How did you learn that? How are you still learning that? And what are the biggest obstacles for principals and for teacher leaders in that?
I think it's a mindset about whether or not you're going to say something, because you can go into a classroom and you can see something really good or you can see something really bad, and the biggest obstacle is oftentimes the leaders don't want to say anything because they don't want to hurt the teacher's feelings, right? So I don't necessarily think it's always that they don't know what is wrong. they might not know how to fix it, but at least you can start naming it. And I would say I've grown a lot as a leader. My first year I was good at naming everything, right? And a lot of my team went, oh God, here she comes, right? But I wasn't that great at actually fixing it. I would just be like, fix it. This can't happen, fix it. But but I've changed a lot over the years, so now I am better at telling people how to do it. But I think my own growth area is going into a room and like only concentrating on what the teacher's saying, because our building is actually in a position right now where I can do that. And honestly, 2 or 3 years ago, I could not do that. And like my direct manager was like, you're concentrating on behavior too much. And I didn't care. I said, well, I'll worry about main idea later. First, let's make sure that the building is safe in every single classroom.
But she is the best leader. We've all been with her for quite a while because we know what she believes in. She's very consistent. She's very fair, and nothing she tells you is ever a surprise. You see it coming because she's very consistent with every classroom.
And I've worked at another school, but I was with Miss Loving for 2 weeks before I moved to that school for about 4 months. And I can honestly say I learned more in the 2 weeks of being with Miss Loving. And I was in the C-Graves class at the time. And at that time, I wanted to be at Miss Loving's school because I knew that I was going to develop as a teacher, but not just professionally, but personally as well. And so I wouldn't be at any other school.
I know that if I'm hard on you, that you will like your job more. And a lot of new principals and new leaders don't understand that. They want to be friends with the teachers and have all these happy hours and not fuss about deadlines. But then their classrooms start falling apart because they haven't been rigid about the little things that actually support your community. So I know that if I'm very hard on people about having a safe classroom and following the behavior management system, more than likely they won't quit on kids, and they'll have a good year and feel successful because their classroom is safe and they can actually teach. And I think that that's the difference, is that a lot of new leaders will ignore those kinds of things because they like the person. Or actually, I mean, we have lots of teachers that are culture fits. They're not the greatest teachers, but it's easier to teach someone how to teach a lesson than it is to teach them how to be a part of our culture and how to love children.